5 men, Scott McManus, Samir Abdelgader, Hamed Shanawaz, Suleiman Nassimi, and Chunky, used 3 vehicles, a stolen black Jeep Wrangler, a Mercedes, and a Chevy Tahoe to execute the abduction. They pulled up beside him and dragged him into the Jeep Wrangler. Despite the severity of the charges, less than 2 weeks after their arrest, the kidnapping duo were released on bail, along with the rest of the accused.
They released them on bail? They released them on bail? Hey, what it do, Marfo? It's your boy. AyeeMont. Look, guys, March. It's March. It's it's getting warm outside, so you know the shooters, the block spinners, they about to be back outside. You know what I'm saying? So you need to take cover and stay in your crib. You get what I'm saying? But look, in today's video, we got Tales of Toronto, the untold story of Chunky. Now,
police say
I'm assuming this is Chunky right here, right? Yeah, this got to be Chunky because he the only nigga. Yeah, this Chunky. You know what I'm saying? I don't know nothing about Toronto. I don't know nothing about Canada. I didn't even know they had drill. I didn't even know they can have guns out there. But I just found out it's the UK that they can't have guns in. So look, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you love your mom. If you don't love your mom, I know you love your grandmother. So you still can like and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? But without further ado, let's get right into the video.
Responsible for kidnapping a Newtonbrook secondary student in early March.
Wait, what?
Arrested.
These are the 5 men police say are responsible for kidnapping a Newtonbrook secondary student in early March.
They
kidnapping people?
arrested 6 people. 1 is under 18 and cannot be identified. All have been charged with first-degree murder.
A street gang on the brink of extinction.
That's what Toronto police hope is the case
I'm
with
recording.
the Dixon Bloods.
They are identified as Liban Hussein, alias of Chunky.
I got me trust issues, keep the heat in my sweater. Bitch, I'm grinding and no winning with that cheddar. I shoot cash flow. Yeah, I feel under the weather. Got the
Okay,
sauce,
this song alright.
Now they know who really better. Look
Oh.
at me just like I you that. Hottest gun is out the West End and they knew.
Nah, secondary is second grade, right?
This is Liban Hussein, better known by his street name, Chunky. He's a reputable member of Toronto's notorious Dixon City Bloods with a lengthy criminal history.
Alright, y'all, I ain't from Toronto or nothing, but someone please help me understand how did Bloods get into Toronto? Like, you feel me? Like, I can see how Bloods can go from California to New York, but how did they get into Toronto? You feel me? Somebody just help me explain that. You know what I'm saying?
From being involved in high-profile kidnappings to getting swept up in a raid at 18, Chunky's story is a chaotic one, but how did his journey into a life of crime begin? It all begins in the west side of Toronto, on the corner of Dixon Road and Kipling Avenue, where a cluster of high-rises lay. The area, nicknamed Dixon City, is essentially the Little Somalia of Toronto. In the late 1980s, thousands of Somalis, seeking to escape the abysmal conditions of war-torn Somalia, jumped ship and landed in Toronto, congregating in the apartment complexes located on Dixon Road and Kipling Avenue. This included Chunky and his family. The reason they ended up on Dixon Road was because in 1988, Transport Canada decided to allow passenger aircraft to fly over the Kingsview area. Air traffic over the area increased drastically. Upset, disgruntled, and downright pissed off middle-class residents of the area moved away. The mass exodus resulted in lots of vacant homes and apartments and sent property values plummeting to the bottom of the barrel. Arriving Somalis took up residence in the area for 2 reasons. 1, the cost of housing was cheap, and 2, it was close to Pearson Airport, which meant they didn't have far to go after they cleared customs and immigration. Meanwhile, during the 1990s, Crip sets began popping up in Toronto, laying claim to neighborhoods all over the city. True to their nature, the Crips banged with local street gangs, pushing them out of their territories. The Crips wanted to control the drug scene, so the local gangs were forced to either align with the Crips or fight back. Most chose the latter, and to make a statement, the local gangs took up the color red, repping the Bloods. This is when the Dixon City Bloods came into play. Unconfirmed rumors state that one of the founding members of the Dixon Bloods was a former member of a New York-based gang known as the G-Shine Bloods, who had...
That makes sense. That makes sense.
It relocated to Dixon City in the early 2000s. Young
Okay.
Somali immigrants
That makes
quickly
sense.
picked up on the
That makes sense. You know how earlier I asked how the Bloods get to Toronto? That makes a lot of sense. So all it takes is one nigga to come over here. Yeah, I'm blood. I'm big blood. You know what I'm saying? And everybody else is like, ooh, I wonder what that is.
pecking order,
Yeah.
and since violence was nothing new to them, they excelled in the streets. The Dixon Bloods maintained low profiles and were extremely mobile, often moving as a group from city to city. They focused on easy money, operating on a commodity-based system, selling drugs and guns to anyone who wanted to buy, including the then mayor of Toronto, Rob Ford.
Oh shit, that remind me of Merrill Berry.
There has been a serious accusation from the Toronto Star that I use crack cocaine. I do not use crack cocaine, nor am I an addict of crack cocaine. Can you get off my driveway, please? Can you get off my driveway? Can you get off my property, please?
We are now in possession of a recovered digital video file relevant to the investigations that have been conducted.
I now look forward to Rob Ford.
So think about it like this, y'all. If the mayor out there doing, you know what I'm saying, the C word, you know what I'm saying? Why the hell the junkies can't do it? I just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like they lock people up for it. You know what I'm saying? And I get why they would lock somebody up for selling it. You get what I'm saying? Because it destroys the community. But think about it, y'all. If the mayor, somebody that has so much integrity, is copping it and smoking it, and we out here giving niggas 25, 35 years for it, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? In DC, right? Merrill Berry was doing that shit, right? He was on that shit. You know what I'm saying? A drug dealer said he used to sell to Merrill Berry. That same drug dealer did 35 years. And the mayor was still the mayor.
Interviews the way children look forward to Christmas morning.
He said he in fact
best
does
excuse
it.
I heard you give for using that crack cocaine was I was in a drunken stupor. And I'm wondering, is that supposed to make anybody feel better?
No, not at all.
All he told me was it's not only your unit, it's the whole building, and this is happening because of Rob Ford.
The mayor of Toronto came forward today to admit he smoked crack cocaine.
Wow. Wow.
In February
And
of
got reelected.
2013,
Mayor Berry got
Dixon City
reelected.
Blood member Mohammed Syed was at a bungalow adjacent to the Dixon Towers. The occasion was a social get-together of fellow Bloods, but Mayor Rob Ford was the star of the night. The mayor was there in the bungalow partying with the Bloods, and during the festivities, Mohammed recorded a video of the late mayor smoking crack cocaine. Mohammed, alongside Libin Siad, another noted Dixon Blood, decided to sell the video, hoping to make some easy money. He contacted various media outlets, saying that he had a shocking video that would expose the truth about Toronto's public officials, specifically the mayor. Media network, The Gawker, naturally tried to buy it, putting together $200,000 to purchase it, but the transaction never took place. Unsurprisingly, rumors of the video leaked. When asked point blank about it, Mayor Ford denied it, as did his public relations people, but the rumors kept circulating and the public began screaming for an investigation. Under heavy scrutiny,
Man, these drug dealers be kissing and telling. You got the mayor smoking yummy, and you trying to sell the video. You losing out on a potential everyday customer looking like just because you want to sell the video. You stingy MFers. Y'all stingy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all stingy.
Toronto police launched Project Brazen 2, which was charged with investigating the mayor and his close friend Alessandro Lisi, who was accused of purchasing drugs for the mayor and extorting Mohammed and Libin in an attempt to recover the infamous crack video. Project Brazen 2 allowed for wiretaps to be placed on 11 associates of Mohammed Syed, all of whom had ties to the Dixon City Bloods. The data obtained from them was immense, and it marked the beginning of what came to be known as Project Traveler, a mass raid targeting the Dixon City Bloods.
The alleged offenders have been charged with approximately 300 assorted serious offenses, including participating in a criminal organization.
That organization, police say, is the Dixon Bloods,
So they
based
locked
in this
them up?
northwest Toronto neighborhood. It stretched all the way to Windsor.
What?
Police moved in early yesterday morning in both cities after more than a year of investigating.
All right, chat. Hold on. Let me get this straight. the mayor used to cop stuff from these Dixon Bloods, right? They used to cop stuff from, like, when I mean cop, they used to buy stuff from the Dixon Blood. And they gonna turn around and indict these niggas? They gonna turn around and indict these niggas, bro. You just indicted your plug, but the plug wild because he over here recording you doing the smoking that shit, and he trying to get a little profit off that shit. You niggas don't got no loyalty in Toronto. Y'all literally in a lose-lose situation. Nobody won from this situation. Nobody.
28 men and women were arrested. More arrests, they say, are still to come.
The crime situation and the potential for violence has not been completely eradicated.
Yesterday, everyone was brought to this courthouse, including some familiar faces. 2 of the men in this now infamous photo were charged. A judge has already said one of them, 19-year-old Mohammed Katak, is not getting bail.
I can't talk about what my clients told me, and the Crown hasn't given me any information about the connection with Rob Ford.
Police are also refusing to confirm or deny a link. Again today, the chief said it will all come out in court.
Would you acknowledge that there's a relationship between the mayor and the individuals in that photo?
Again, if I was to do that, I would be violating the law, and also I would be placing in jeopardy the important work that we're doing.
Some of the suspects, many who lived in this neighborhood with their parents, are facing drug, trafficking, and firearms charges. Others are up for attempted murder and murder. It's in the death of this man, Anthony Smith, one more person who, at one time, got close to the mayor.
Project Traveler jumped off in the morning on June 13, 2013. Hundreds of heavily armed police officers from 42 tactical teams and 17 different law enforcement agencies converged on Dixon City. 14 apartment doors splintered under the force of battering rams. Officers quickly cleared the rooms of each apartment and restrained the occupants. They searched the apartments for drugs, guns, cash, phones, and computers. Everything was tagged and bagged. While Dixon City was being raided, dozens of homes in Windsor, along with one home in Edmonton, succumbed.
They raiding out of a budget truck? You niggas couldn't afford no. Oh, I see what they doing. That's why they raiding out of a budget truck. You know what I'm saying? They gonna close this shit. You know what I'm saying? Before they get up to your door, your residence, they gonna close this. You know what I'm saying? You gonna think it's a delivery. Yeah, alright. It's a delivery, alright. It's a damn delivery. Once they kick down that door,
Come to the same treatment. Overall, 60 Dixon City Bloods were arrested, including Libin, Mohammed, and Chunky, who was just an 18-year-old college student at the time. Combined, Project Traveler revealed $3 million worth of drugs, $572,000 in cash, 40 weapons, and the oh-so-elusive Rob Ford crack video. Chunky and the Dixon Bloods took a major hit in 2013, but unsurprisingly, the crew didn't falter. 2 years after the mass takedown, they were back in the news, this time for homicide.
It is alleged that they are all members of the Dixon Road Bloods and their associates.
Heavily armed tactical units stormed 3 buildings on Dixon Road near Kipling. They arrested 6 people. One is under 18 and cannot be identified. All have been charged with first-degree murder.
On March 17, 2015, at a building sitting on 2063 Islington Avenue, gunshots rang out at around 3:15 p.m. in the underground parking garage. Ahmed Syed, the brother of the man who tried to sell the infamous Rob Ford video, was hit. Fortunately, he survived. Coincidentally, Rob Ford was at the building when the gunfire rang out. He spoke.
Hold on. He was coincidentally, I don't know how to say the word. So he was by coincidence that he was there at the time that he got shot. They was at the same building at the same time. It's just an accident. Oh, yeah, we didn't know that they were going to be there. Yeah.
Spoke to the Toronto Sun about the incident, adding that he witnessed Ahmed wounded. Like his older brother, Ahmed was a member of the Dixon Bloods, and when they heard one of their own was shot, they weren't happy. They began enacting a plan of revenge, which they carried out 5 hours later. They gathered 6 members, one of them being Chunky, and went back to 2063 Islington Avenue to confront Malcolm Marfo, a man who they suspected was involved in the shooting of Ahmed. The confrontation quickly escalated, with one of the Dixon Bloods pulling out a gun. Malcolm tried to get a hold of the weapon, but amidst the struggle, he was shot fatally. All 6 Dixon members then fled the scene. Shortly after clearing the first shooting, Toronto police returned back to 2063 Islington Avenue at 8:15 p.m. for reports of gunfire. When officers arrived, they found 22-year-old Malcolm Marfo dead in a hallway. With the knowledge of the first shooting and who the victim was, it didn't take long for Toronto police to realize this was a gang-related altercation involving the Dixon City Bloods. They began collecting footage from around the apartment building and were able to identify multiple.
That's one thing that never goes away. That's CCTV footage. That's how you niggas be getting caught. This ain't 1992. This ain't 1972. This ain't 1964. This is 2010 and up. Them CCTV footages will get you. You don't think they will? They will get you. They will find the little bit of evidence. Them CCTV footage be recorded off the first iPhone. You know, the very first iPhone that you ever can take a picture off of? That's what the footage be looking like. But guess what? Him be right up in here on these CCTV footages, and they be fixing the pixels to see what your face really look like. That's what they do. That's what they do. That's their job. So you think you gonna shoot somebody and not get caught on a CCTV footage? Woo! You went for a rude awakening, buddy.
Multiple people who they believed were involved in the murder of Malcolm. 1 month later, on April 2nd, 2015, with help from the Emergency Task Force, Tavis, and 23 division officers, the homicide squad executed 8 search warrants in Dixon City. Chunky, Mohammed Omar, Said Haji, Sharmark Farah, Ali Mohammed Issi, and a minor were arrested and charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. They spent a year in custody until 5 of them had their charges withdrawn after one of the men, Said Haji, took the fall by pleading guilty to manslaughter. He was sentenced to 9 years in prison.
That's it?
By now, most of you are probably thinking Chunky is one lucky guy. So far, he's gotten off on the charges from the raid and now a murder charge. Well, you're right, and his luck will continue
Hey, whoever took them 9 years, he's a W homie.
2 years later when he got caught up in another shooting involving the same people. On April 23rd, 2017, at around 6 p.m., cameras caught Chunky, Ahmed Syed, and another man arriving.
Do I still gotta explain the CCTV footages? Look at this. Look at this. This ain't one of them CCTV footages that's recorded off a Paraphone. This is one that looked like off your local iPad in 2017, 18. You know what I'm saying? You know how if you recorded, like, if you recorded a video in 2017 with your iPad, I bet you it look like this right now. Police zoom in, they'll know who this is. They can see the cars. They can see everything. If you came through this alley right here, they would know who you is. Simple.
At around 6 p.m., cameras caught Chunky, Ahmed Syed, and another man arriving to the parking lot of a complex on 1811 Martin Grove Road in a red SUV. Several other men who were already in the parking lot proceed to approach the parked vehicle. Ahmed Syed exits the SUV and puts his arm around a man wearing a gray hoodie as the pair walk across the parking lot together. In Toronto, when a man puts his arm around you in such a fashion, it only means one thing: he's about to rob you. Anticipating that was about to happen, the man in the gray hoodie beats Ahmed to the draw, pulling a handgun from his pants and firing at least 8 times. Ahmed was hit multiple times in the lower extremities, but survived. Chunky can be seen grabbing the gun from Ahmed, helping him back into the SUV and driving off. Toronto police found Ahmed 20 minutes later dumped in an underground parking garage at 345 Dixon Road. Ahmed, who faces charges for the gun battle, was also wanted at the time for another shooting that occurred in February of that year at 320 Dixon Road. While Ahmed was in custody, Chunky went on the run. He ended up in Oakville, Ontario, where he was found by Toronto police in October. According to investigators, they were investigating the murder of Abdul Qadir Bihi, a 29-year-old man who was fatally shot outside a complex on Dixon Road earlier in the week. During the investigation, they executed a raid on an Oakville condominium hoping to find 2 suspects in the murder. Instead, they found $27,663 in Canadian currency, drugs, 2 firearms, ammunition, and magazines. Chunky and 2 brothers were also found in the residence. They were hit with a list of charges relating to weapons, drugs, and possessing the proceeds of crime over $5,000. It appears Chunky spent no more than 3 years in custody before he was released, because he was back in the news by 2020. This time around, he would be involved in one of the most publicized kidnapping cases in Canadian history.
All right, hold on. Before we get into that, right? So they said in Toronto, once a nigga put his arm around you, he try and bag you. You know what I'm saying? In the DMV, if you know when a nigga try and bag you, bro, he too nice, he too friendly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he happy in your face saying you look sweet and look, nigga, you try and bag me?
Only means one thing. He's about to rob you. Anticipating that was about to happen, the man in the gray hoodie beats Ahmed to the draw.
Oh, okay. So let me get this straight, chat. Ahmed is them two are friends, right? These two guys are friends. So he was trying to rob him. Okay, so he's on point.
Pulling a handgun from his pants and firing at least 8.
He's on point. Okay, cool. I get it now.
These are the 5 men police say are responsible for kidnapping a Newtonbrook secondary student in early March.
Bro, you niggas are too old, bro. You, Scott McManus, you have a football name. Like, you're like a football kicker's name. You know what I'm saying? You look 36. You look 40. You got gray hair. You, right now, you look 40. I mean, 32. But I know you're like 25. You know what I'm saying? You're just balding. And you, my guy, I don't even know.
Responsible for kidnapping a Newtonbrook secondary student in early March, triggering an Amber Alert and nearly 40 hours of terror for the teen.
Olalekan Asakoya worked as a drug and firearms courier for a mid-level Toronto drug dealer by the name of Scott McManus for $10,000 a month starting in the summer of 2018. Asakoya, upset because he wasn't paid on time, or not at all by McManus, conspired with another drug courier to steal a drug shipment last summer. Asakoya obtained 90 kilograms of cocaine in London, Ontario, equaling nearly $4 million, but when he met his accomplice, he was robbed at gunpoint of 75 kilograms of the haul. Asakoya fled with only 15 kilograms of cocaine and went into hiding, but McManus believed he stole the entire amount. McManus, who was in the middle of the criminal organization's hierarchy, was responsible for the cost of the stolen stash. The disgruntled dealer visited Asakoya's parents' home, hunting for him, and later dispatched henchmen to break into Asakoya's and his girlfriend's homes. Later, Asakoya discovered that McManus put a $400,000 bounty on his head. That plan failed as well. McManus then devised a plot to kidnap Asakoya's 14-year-old brother to force the drug thief to return the shipment and save his sibling. In the morning of March 3, 2020, the kidnapping plot went into action. 5 men, Scott of March 3, 2020.
You know what I was doing March 3rd, 2020? Like, bro, I was somewhere in school. Like, you ever be somewhere and be like, damn, when a major event occurred, you be like, damn, you just know where you was. I was in school having the time of my life. You know what I'm saying? Senior year. And this motherfucker's out here kidnapping kids.
The kidnapping plot went into action. 5 men, Scott McManus, Samir Abdelgader, Hamed Shanawaz, Suleiman Nassimi, and Chunky, used 3 vehicles, a stolen black Jeep Wrangler, a Mercedes, and a Chevy Tahoe to execute the abduction. Just before 8:30 a.m., the 5 men located Asakoya's brother, 14-year-old Shama Joleami, in the Driftwood Avenue and Finch Avenue West area, walking towards Newtonbrook Secondary School where he was enrolled. They pulled up beside him and dragged him into the Jeep Wrangler. After receiving calls from the public who reported hearing Shama yell for help as he was being dragged into the vehicle, officers from 31 Division immediately acted by launching an investigation. With the lack of information at the time, officers were unable to locate the suspect vehicles, which made their way to a barn in Brampton, Ontario. In the meantime, officers managed to connect the 911 calls they received in the morning to the abduction of Shama, after his parents contacted them 9 hours after the kidnapping when he didn't show up home after school. His parents should have been notified by his school of his absence by 11 a.m., but his teachers did not input attendance data correctly. Toronto District School Board suspended 5 teachers for the screw-up. Things quickly escalated when Asakoya was called by his kidnapped brother on Snapchat. He was blindfolded, naked, and in the background were his...
What the fuck he had to get naked for? what's up with these quote-unquote gangsters wanting to see other men naked? Am I missing something, chat? Like, am I missing something? Like, what's the satisfaction of these niggas want to see niggas naked? Yeah, they go, and not only y'all gonna get a kidnapping charge, now, guess what? You going on the sex offender list. You got a 14... You know what? I'm not gonna say it.
Kidnappers. Asakoya was warned by the kidnappers he'd better return what he'd stolen or his brother would die. Before fleeing the province, Asakoya broke the news to his father, who contacted police again. Understanding the severity of the situation, Toronto police took a unique step by having Steve Watts, the head of their organized crime unit, step in front of news cameras to make a plea directly to the kidnappers. I appreciate high-level cocaine business, the situation that faces them, but he's a 14-year-old innocent child. He is not a part of that business, not a part of that lifestyle. We would encourage those who took Shama to drop him off in a safe place, Watts said. 24 hours later, officers finally got a break in the case. The black Jeep Shama was forced into was traced by police through a combination of surveillance video, CCTV.
That's the only thing. When you do something in this day and time, the CCTV footage is going to follow you all the way until you get to your destination. Every traffic light, ping, 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 snap, 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 snap. Now, it may look like this, but like I told you, the police will find it. They will find it. Look at this shit. It looked like, you see my fingernail? This looked like what it was recorded off of. But guess what? It's always a way, because they got them technology geeks up there that can make this picture look perfectly fine with them pixels.
And highway transponder readings. It was located at 10 p.m., burning at forks of the Credit Provincial Park in Caledon, Ontario. Soon after, police obtained emergency wiretaps which traced communications between the kidnappers and the family of Shama. This helped officers pinpoint the 14-year-old's location to the barn house in Brampton. Nearly 40 hours after his abduction, at 10:20 p.m., Shama was found safe in the abandoned barn. He was alone and in a disheveled state, freezing cold, wearing construction clothes. Shama was given medical attention and reunited with his family later that night. The entire family were then relocated from their home in Driftwood to a safe new location. Now that Shama was located, police shifted their focus on his kidnappers. Over the course of the next 2 months, they obtained vital information from Asakoya, who they managed to get in contact with. He not only provided investigators with a videotaped statement, but he also pointed out one of the kidnappers, Samir Abdelgader, Asakoya allegedly used to make deliveries to Samir, who worked as muscle for the organization.
So, Asakoya is the big brother? Or am I tripping, chat? Am I tripping? Because if Asakoya the big brother, he out here snitching. You need to be going and getting in that car.
With the info, officers executed several search warrants across the city on May 12, 2020. The warrants saw the arrests of 5 men, including Chunky, Scott McManus, and Samir, plus the seizure of 1 kilogram of cocaine, 70 pounds of marijuana, more than $100,000 in cash and body armor. Chunky and his co-accused were hit with a list of charges ranging from kidnapping to arson. And just like that, the near 2-day kidnapping ordeal was over, but Chunky's trouble in the streets of Toronto was just beginning.
Police say this was an intricate investigation that took nearly 2 years and led to more than 200 charges. And police say this includes discovering another criminal network that were allegedly conspiring to commit murder.
Project Cairns was created in July 2018, when the Contraband Tobacco Enforcement Team began an investigation into the trafficking of tobacco from a manufacturing facility located on Six Nations Mohawk territory. The facility, run by a small organized crime group based in the Greater Toronto Area, was producing upwards of 10,000 contraband cigarettes a minute. In addition to the production and trafficking of contraband tobacco, the team uncovered drug trafficking networks that were responsible for large shipments of illicit cannabis occurring on a weekly basis from British Columbia to Ontario. The project was carried out on June 1, 2020, and it involved investigators executing 13 search warrants in several locations throughout Canada, including Ontario. British Columbia, and Quebec. The warrants netted 16 arrests and saw 11.5 million BC-bound cigarettes yanked from the black market. The June bust also scored over 1,000 kilos of cannabis, 1.14 kilos of cocaine, 1.3 kilograms of fentanyl, and over $235,000 in cash. In addition to the contraband charges, 7 out of the 16 accused were charged with conspiracy to commit murder. This included Chunky and his former kidnapping conspirator, Hamed Shanawaz. Despite the severity of the charges, less than 2 weeks after their arrest, the kidnapping duo were released on bail, along with the rest of the accused.
They released them niggas on bail? They released them niggas on bail? After the kidnapping? They released them niggas on bail? Did I just hear that right? That's how you know the police be money hungry. Ain't no way he got released on bail and he kidnapped a kid. Ain't no way. It's just not a way. It can't be a way.
In Project Cairns. Considering Chunky's extensive criminal history, you would think Canada's criminal justice system would have had enough of his antics by now.
For real.
Despite being a repeat offender whose face has been blasted on the news year after year, he's been able to either walk away scot-free or with just a slap on the wrist. And it didn't take long for the streets to catch on to the pattern. Sometime in 2022, paperwork surfaced showing Chunky testifying in the trial of Yahya Jammeh and Zaid Chaudhry, 2 noted Dixon Bloods. The duo were arrested back in 2017 in relation to the murder of 29-year-old Abdul Qadir Bihi, a newlywed expectant father. As previously mentioned, Chunky was arrested in a raid, which was meant to find Jammeh and Chaudhry, but instead, officers found Chunky, a large quantity of drugs, guns, and money. During his testimony, Chunky was questioned about a video prosecutors believed he was in. Instead of confirming or denying the allegations, he named Jammeh as a person of interest.
These the worst type of niggas to be around, y'all. Killer rats. Yes, they will kill you and then they will snitch on you. You don't ever want to be around a killer rat. You know why you don't want to be around a killer rat? Because he'll snitch and he will kill you. He can kill you or snitch. He can go either way. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you ever dealt with a bisexual girl, bro? She can go that way or this way. Well, that's what a killer rat is. He can go that way or this way. He can give it to you both ways. And guess what? They the sneakiest niggas in the life, in history of life. This nigga, this whole time we thinking he getting away with the crimes. We thinking he just a lucky MF. No, he out here snitching on the homies. I know what it is. He an informant. He gotta be. It ain't no way you get bail for a kidnapping charge. Shit.
He was quoted saying, "That could clearly be a lot of people. That could be Yahya Jammeh. If you're saying that's me, that's not me." These documents have never been confirmed to be legitimate, but that didn't matter to his ops, who mocked him relentlessly on social media for pointing out a fellow Dixon blood in a murder trial. Regardless, the snitching accusations didn't seem to faze him or his associates, as he was seen months later at Mustafa the Poet's birthday party hanging with the likes of Doobie, Puffy L's, and even Drake. Chunky was living it up, and with his last arrest being in 2020, he appeared to be staying out of trouble, but that doesn't mean the work he put into the streets was left forgotten. You see, when you end up in the deep end of the streets, your life will only end up 2 ways, either in jail or dead. For Chunky, it was the latter.
A police flatbed truck tows a bullet-riddled white Chrysler 300 from the front driveway of 2 Eva Road, a condominium complex just off Highway 427 north of Bloor Street, where families live. Detectives have yet to identify the victim, but Global News has learned he was in his late 20s, had spent time in jail on gun and drug charges, and was believed to be a member of a West End street gang. So far, no arrests have been made.
On Thursday, March 7th, 2024, at about 8:30 p.m., Toronto police were called to a condominium in the area of West Mall and Eva Road for a shooting. When officers arrived, they found Chunky suffering from gunshot wounds. According to police, multiple suspects approached him and
So wait, this is my last time pausing the chat. So let me get this straight. This nigga didn't get locked up for the kidnapping? He was on bail for 4 years on the kidnapping charge? 4 years bail?
shot him several times while he was sitting in his car in the parking lot of the condo. He was taken to hospital, where he later died. The 29-year-old Dixon Blood was Toronto's 13th homicide victim of 2024. As blunt as it may sound, Chunky's criminal career went longer than it should have. It lasted 11 years, and throughout that time, he created a lot of enemies, with some even from his own block. Shortly after Chunky's death was announced, a few of those enemies had a field day on social media. Some called him a rat, while others put him in a blunt, calling it a Chunky pack.
That shit that you put in the freezer. I'm super hot. That shit you put in the freezer.
I'll eat a brick before I listen to Toronto niggas talk. But look, y'all, let me know how y'all feel about that down in the comment section. Do you think Chunky was a rat or he wasn't a rat? You get what I'm saying? But let me know down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We on the road to 50K and we out.